Specialized Alley entry level, or what used to be entry level, is now disc brake only, the new version. What do you think of that?
I had a Specialized LA as my first proper road bike, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then I once, much later on, imported a Specialized LA Sprint. Do you remember it?
Yeah.
Because it was like a flip paint, like a blue and purple flip paint, and it wasn't available in this country as a colorway, so I had to convince a shop in America to sell it to me and send it over, which they're technically not meant
It's
to.
like the Blurple.
Yes.
Similar. Yeah, that was cool. And you had that with Dura-Ace on and everything.
Yes.
The Sprint is a weird, but I mean, it was weird. Why? Because they sold that as, well, everybody talked about it as a crit bike.
Yeah.
They were like, this is a crit, like an aluminium crit bike. And everyone's obsessed with aluminium as a crit bike. But it doesn't really make sense, because if you crash aluminium and you really like,
it's actually
do it
right,
right, it's done. Yeah.
Whereas you
can ride it with a dent, admittedly, but if you crack it, carbon you can repair
and
quite
steel,
well.
obviously, as well.
Steel.
Well, yeah.
I thought and steel. Like
steal it.
Yeah, steel as well. You could like re-weld stuff. So really, it's the worst material for a crit bike.
Well, at current prices, yes.
Yeah.
Historically,
it was way cheaper than
it was. That was it. You know, you used to be able to get a lighter bike that was stiff and solid, but it would be, you know, 600 quid for a frame set rather than 12.
I guess things have changed. Like if you bought a Planet X, a carbon Planet X, or an Elves or whatever, the cheap carbon now is so good, you might as well have that as your crit bike. There's no reason to buy an aluminium bike because of the price, because you can get stuff which is really cheap. Cheap carbon is really good.
Cheap carbon is now cheaper than alloy, isn't it?
Yes.
Big brand alloy.
Mm-hmm.
Which
obviously there's an environmental aspect to consider. But if you're buying carbon bikes, you're buying carbon bikes.
So what you're saying is, instead of buying an LA now, you would just buy a cheap carbon frame?
No. Because if I was going to buy... Well, it depends who I was. If I was getting into cycling as a newbie, we know that the big manufacturers are making only the very top end of entry-level bikes. They're starting at £800, £900, or in this case, is this the cheapest alloy they do? £1,100.
Let's see. So the outgoing rim brake model is the most affordable option at £1,000, which is the LA E5. It features Shimano Claris drivetrain and Tektro rim brake.
That's the old one.
Yes.
So the new one is now £1,100 for the cheapest bike they do.
Yeah. So it's an LA disc. It's £1,100. It gets the same Claris group set and mechanical Tektro disc brakes.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, it's not entry level at all.
It isn't. That isn't really an entry level bike, is
but
it?
That's it's.
But it isn't. It isn't. It absolutely isn't.
What group set do you get on it?
Claris with Tektro brakes.
Okay, so it's the middle run of.
That is going to be a very good bike.
Oh no, it's not. Claris really is low. Yeah,
Claris.
That's Shimano consider that recreational level group set.
It's STI shifters though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in terms of its performance, yes, it's relatively low in the Shimano scheme of things, but what we know is that group set.
Oh, it's really good. Well. Yeah. Because there's everything. It's got reach adjustment. It has STI shifters where everything's controlled in your hands. It looks similar to the normal road bike group sets.
Specialized are referring to it as the lightest frame in its class, with the frame claimed weight for a 56 centimeters, 1.4 kilograms.
It's actually 1.375.
1.375, apparently.
So the frame is fairly light, but the total bike is still going to be quite heavy. With Claris with disc brakes.
Well, yeah, with disc brakes, because obviously disc brakes are heavier than rim brakes, it's going to probably be 9.5 kilo bike. But
I bet it's over 9.
But, well, we know for a fact that
the weight doesn't matter.
If it's under 10 kilos, you know, it's gonna ride well. I think that's a really good bike. It's a lot of money. It feels weird that they're getting rid of rim brakes on what has always been their like entry level. You know, like yes, £600 10 years ago was actually quite a lot of money, and it's probably about that price now. But it always felt like you were getting good value for money with an old Alley. Specialized Alley was always like, that's a banging bike you're going to get, and it's not going to cost you the world. Whereas No, £1,100. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
It's just not entry level. But it's not up to those brands to be, well, not up to them. They've decided to not make a truly entry level bike anymore.
Yeah.
Because, you know, now, as we know, having tested a few of these bikes on video, there's great things. You can just go to Decathlon. The tri-bands are amazing. Halford's even, the setup wasn't great that they did on it, and the handlebars are a bit funny shape. Other than that, brilliant bike for £500. Does we pay? £540? Yeah.
Do you think that manufacturers are using hydraulic brakes as an excuse to increase prices?
Well, that's not even hydraulic brakes.
It is hydraulic.
No hydraulic.
No.
LA Sport.
Yeah, the £1,100 Specialized Alley is mechanical disc brakes.
Oh, it's mechanical.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then the LA Sport.
oh my God! So the hydraulic one is £1,600.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If that other one came with hydros, it would be a pretty good deal.
Well, yeah. That's
But the mechanical disc brake, like, I know some people are like, yeah, there are good ones, and if they're set up really well, some of the cheaper ones are okay as well. But then equally, you talk to some people and they're like, nah, they should be illegal. Like they're squishy and not very nice, and nowhere near as good. If you spent the same money on a rim brake system, it would be really nice.
It feels like this should be a rim brake bike.
This is what we said about the other bike the other day in the video.
Well,
it's true. Yeah, a lot of things should be rim brake.
This feels odd to me. I'm disappointed. I am disappointed.
Oh.
That £1,600 bike should be the £1,100 bike.